Good afternoon, students. So glad for you to be back with me. Today we're going to be doing a little Starry Night. So Starry Night was painted by the world famous artist Vincent van Gogh, and it was made in the year, I think, 1889, and it was made from the hospital window. Vincent van Gogh had been hospitalized, and he was painting from his window, and it was just before sunset that he painted this beautiful scene. And it kind of gives us an idea of what light and dark and all kinds of interesting things come together. So thanks for joining me, and let's get started. So what are you going to need? The same things you guys have been using all along. You're going to need a piece of paper that's in this direction. Here we have a picture of Vincent van Gogh's, and then we also have one that I did last year with the students. So let's go ahead and get started. So in the forefront, meaning in the front of our project here, we have this beautiful tree. So I want us to kind of go up high and then draw a curve down on both sides. Those are very organic lines, meaning that they are flowing. Inside, I'm going to put another one, just like that. And then I'm going to put one that's kind of tucked behind. So right about here, I'm going to tuck another one behind it. So that tree is very close to us in the project. The town is far away, and the stars and the light in the sky are even further away. So the first thing we're going to do is kind of start with a horizon line that comes across. I'm going to jump my tree and come across just like that. Then I'm actually going to make another horizon line up a little bit more. Just like that. So I want to think about a town and what does the town look like. So I'm going to plan about 4 or 5. It's kind of spread out, not real huge shapes. So using our straight lines to make rectangles or to make squares. And those are the squares or rectangles that we're going to turn into houses. So I don't have it in this one. I'm going to show you kind of how to do a church. Every little village in France has a church, and it has the clock in it usually, and it dings on the hours. So this might have a very tall rectangle with a top on it. Okay. It might have a little window in the top of it. And then the top of the church would come over and down. So see how I made that line at an angle as it's coming down? Put some little lines in there to show that maybe. Yeah. Okay, great. If you want to put a little door in there, you can. And some small little windows. Alrighty, so let's do our next house. Let's go ahead and put a angle line on that, making that a top and a door. You can put 1 or 2 windows, and you can really put that door wherever you want it to be. It could be in the middle, it could be at the other side. Think about designing the house. Okay, then I'm going to move to a different one, any one that you want. And again, I'm going to put a shape on. Okay, this one I'm going to bring off this direction. I'm going to go all the way off my paper like that so it looks a little more three-dimensional. I'll put some windows in those doors. Windows in those boxes, sorry. And then the other ones, I'm going to kind of build the tops of them as well. These are a little further off. Again, doors and window, doors and window. And then if I want to extend the line here, I'm going to to plant some trees in my village. Now you can see I'm doing my trees kind of small. And what that's showing is that the house is further in the back because this tree is so big and these trees are much smaller. And you can make some little bushes on each side if you would rather do that. So I'm just extending all of those horizon lines. I'll give you a minute to catch up. You know, you are also welcome at any point to stop the video and work at your own pace. Okay, so now I'm going to plan my moon. So for my moon, I'm going to do the letter C, and I'm just going to attach it like that. Wasn't that easy? Now I call this the wind swoosh, and one of the great things about it is it's really showing movement of the sky. The wind is really, really blowing, and so it's blowing and it's moving, and so I like to call it kind of the swoosh. So I start over here, and I'm going to come up, jump my tree, and come around like that. Now, make sure that it's far enough over where you're like in the middle of your paper. If you only go right here, that's not far enough. Okay. Then I'm going to curve and come back and jump again. Now, sometimes we have enough room, but not always for the second shape. The second shape kind of comes right off here and up like that. But you got to respect the hill, and so you might not have enough space. So what I did was I curved down, came in and up. And remember, it's wind, so it's not perfect. Then I'm going to plan my stars. So I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 stars. Okay. So we've definitely got yellow in this project. So whether or not you're using marker or pen or crayon, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to start off by going into my stars and making those all yellow. And then I'm going to work on my moon as well. When I'm done with that, I'm going to go down and I'm going to put that same color in my window. So it's daybreak, everybody's getting up to go to work, and so those windows will have light shining out of them. And the last thing I'm going to do is you're going to see like there's this almost this circle around my moon right there. So I'm going to go in with my yellow and I make a moon, and I'm going to go circle, 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 circle all the way in. Now, did I color the whole thing? No. I just went in with my yellow and I got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Super. Now, this one doesn't have a lot in it, but I like to add it. I like to add a little bit of orange, and I'm just kind of going around the outside here around a few times to make it a little fun. Remember, it doesn't have to look exactly like the original. Okay, so the inside of the swoosh is where I'm going to start today. And I'm going to color very, very lightly a light blue. I want this blue to kind of almost just barely show. Like that. And then I'm going to switch to a different blue because I want the swoosh to look different from the sky. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use kind of like an aqua blue crayon, and I'm going to go in and start to color some of my background. I'm not going into that circle, which is hard sometimes to do. Okay. I'm not worried about it. I got a little on my tree. I'm not worried about it. I'm coming all the way down to this hill horizon line. Give you a minute to actually color that. This hill horizon line, I'm actually going to switch back to my other blue, and I'm going to do a little darker. The reason I'm doing it a little darker is because it has a lot of shadow on it. Because remember, it's sunrise, and so it is the same blue that I used up here, just a lot lighter. So then I'm going to come on down, and I'm going to start with the green. So, uh-oh, look at, I colored right over that tree. Now I'm coloring with crayon, or if you're coloring with pencil, you can probably get away with it. If you're coloring with marker, then you've probably most likely got to go around. So I'm adding my green down below. And then guess what? I've got to jump over here and do this part of the hill as well. Super. Okay, so my trees are green, so now I'm going to take that same crayon and I'm going to put a second coat on those trees, and I'm going to color in dark. And you see that I'm using my color in a circle because my trees are circular, so I'm coloring in circles, adding that detail. You always want to think about the way that something flows in order for it to kind of come together. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and I'm going to start with a brown for the tops of my buildings. And maybe I want to do that same color for the doors, if I've got doors on there. And then I'm going to use a little bit of orange on a few of the buildings. Not all of them, but on a few of them. Because I want to bring in this same orange that we have up there. Okay. And then I'm going to go gently over those other buildings with a light brown, so that they are not as dark and look different from the tops that I put on there before. Okay. Now, for my tree in front, I want to, again, think about the way that it flows. And it's flowing down like this. And so when I'm coloring that tree, I want to make sure that my line is flowing down like this. I'm coloring down. Now you'll see I didn't do the other tree on the other side, and that's okay. I'll tell you why in a minute. So I used a lighter green than I used here for a reason, because I want it to be two-toned. And then what I'm doing is I'm drawing with my darker crayon, the one I used here, and I'm putting my lines coming down here, in here. Now, I have one space in here. Remember that that one was kind of in front. And so I'm going to go over that one kind of really thick so that it looks different from the tree in the background. And then I'm going to do the same thing with that back space here. I'm going to go around it, and I'm going to color it darker because it's in the background. So a lot of this is what I consider almost like the first coat, okay? So I'm going to show you how we're going to put some other details in there. I'm going to go back to use my brown, and I'm going to go over my tree with a few lines. And I'm going to go over the darker one with the brown. I'm not going to see it a whole lot, but it's going to help tie this other tree in there. Okay. Alrighty. Then I'm going to take my brown, and I'm just going to put a little bit of brown in the background of my town, just so that it covers some of the areas. Remember, it's morning time, so the light is really interesting. It's not very clear yet. And then I'm going to add some curves here. With my blue crayon, I'm pushing really, really hard. It's kind of making it look like these hills are rolling. With that same color, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put little dashes that are going the same direction as my wind is flowing. Now, if my dashes overlap, that's fine. They're little lines. So we just have to make sure, you know, like we're not actually coloring it. They're little dashes that we're seeing. And this is really what Impressionism, which is the movement that Vincent van Gogh is about, is doing. Is he's making little lines look like they are moving. So put some little ones in here. Or flowing. So I'll give you just a minute to work on that. And then I want you to take the same color that you used on this background sky, and I want you to do, these are all going to be flowing across, to do something about of the same. So you're just adding some little lines as they are moving across here. Little lines in here. Make sure you're not like going like that. That's not a little line. Little line, little line. I'm going to go underneath my swoosh here with my little line. Just like that. So I've got some little lines there. Okay. So it's looking like it's night, becoming morning, but in order for it to look darker, on the background here where we just worked, I'm going to go in with a purple. And I'm going to do the same kind of line. So remember, a lot of times we need 3 colors for 3 dimension, and so that's why I'm adding the purple only into this background here, so that it will look like it has even more depth to it. And again, I'm making that with little itty bitty lines all over. And there we go. So that is Van Gogh's Starry Night. Again, the date was 1889, and It's one of the most famous paintings. Again, he did not sell any paintings while he was alive, but now that painting would be worth quite a bit. So, thanks for joining me this afternoon while we did Starry Night by Van Gogh. I hope that you are enjoying your time and that you're doing art and loving it. And I hope to see you back here next week. Thanks so much.